Video. You got to do video. You're like, I don't know how to do that. I need this $6 million camera and I need something like that. And you just don't know where to start. We're going to talk about that sort of a thing today with the founder of Kerry Barrett Incorporated. This is Kerry Barrett. Hi, Kerry.
Hi, how are you?
Everything's good.
If you have a $6 million camera, you're doing something right. So I need to be talking to you.
That's a throwback to the 70s. Yeah, that's a throwback to the 70s. That $6 million man. Anyway, I call you the queen of video. That's one of my little nicknames for you because I see you all the time on your LinkedIn posts and every other place talking about best ways to do things. Now, I'm going to dive right in real quick here.
Go for it.
Do you recommend people use, get a camera? This is a Nikon, but when they get an expensive camera, or do they want to just pick up their cell phone and do that? How do you recommend somebody get started?
Well, I will tell you this. It used to be that video production came with a super hefty price tag, right? You know, you're paying 10, 20 or more $1,000 for one video that lives perhaps on your website.
Yeah.
That is not enough content for the average small business, coach, consultant, service provider, whatever. If you're going to have a fighting chance in the digital landscape and in the online world, which is where you need to be if you're going to grow past 2022, you've got to be pushing out content regularly. The full scale video production is not in the budget for 99.99999% of businesses, right? The only thing that you need to create content is a phone, a face, and a voice. That's it. That's all you need in terms of gear and technical equipment. Now, you can certainly up-level things with a new mic or the right kind of lighting. But if you are shooting with the sunlight or the natural light hitting your face, you have what you need in terms of lighting. There's always room to up-level, but if you're just getting into the game, a phone, a face, and a voice, and you're set.
Wow, that is so true. Because I've done a few posts and videos myself explaining just that. But you'd be surprised the number of people that still think that you have to get an expensive camera. Even this Nikon behind me isn't something that you need. It's just a phone and a thing like that. Now, as far as what to say in a video, some people are just scared. What if I look like crap? What if I suck? Stuff like that. What kind of content should a small business owner use to get started with?
Well, you are going to suck in the beginning and you are going to look like crap in the beginning, and there's no two ways around it. That's just how it is. And I've been on camera for 20 years. Yeah. I started in the news business. So actually being on camera was my business. And I will tell you, my video debut was on live television in front of a lot of people. And I was pretty darn bad at it at that stage. So, and I was terrified. So don't let this idea that you're going to love your first video, and if you don't love it right out of the gate, this isn't for you. You're going to hate it. As a matter of fact, your first dozen videos, you're going to be, I can't stand my voice. I can't stand my face. I sound like an idiot. I look like I'm half asleep. Why do I look so angry? All of these things that we turn this critical eye to, recognize that now that you've taken that first step, there's only one place to go. And the second thing to keep up here is that nobody is watching you with as critical of an eye as you are turning on yourself. That said, there are some things that you need to work on, right? Time and tech, certainly making sure that you have an effective and efficient strategy and process so that you can put out content without chewing up half of your week or even half of your day. The second part is, what exactly is it that you're going to be putting out, and how are you going to be talking about it? It depends on your business, right? Each video needs to have a focus. I like to start, if you're just beginning to get into the game, depending a little bit on where you're posting, think about introducing yourself to the room. 97% of the people that are on LinkedIn are what I call lurkers, meaning they're not putting content out there. And if you're one of those, congratulations for being on LinkedIn. That's a great start. The next place is to introduce yourself to the people who are there looking for what you're doing. So think about it. There's really sort of three things that I like to think about after you've done the introduction. Like, what do you have coming up in your business that could be of help to your ideal person or client? Is there a new product? Is there a new service? Is there a trick, a tip, a hack, a strategy, a myth that you want to bust? And then, are there things going on at large in the world that you can capitalize on? Meaning, is there we just came out of Women's History Month. We came out of Black History Month. There are elements of events that are occurring around us outside of our business that we can incorporate into our content. If there is a news item that's trending as it relates to your business or your client, you can put out content about that. The key is to be looking for ways that you can add value. Your content should not be about selling, at least 95% of the time. It should not be about selling. It should be about creating wins for your ideal audience, that as they watch or listen or read, they then associate those wins with you. And you're beginning to establish that know, like, trust factor online.
Well, trust is key. And you have to come across as authentic. And I think even that, maybe see if you agree with this. If you get on and you stumble a little, and my name is Joe Fisher or whatever it is. And
that happened.
Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, I hit the live button, and you hear that, you see this a lot. Am I on? Am I live? What's going on? Oh yeah, hi. And then they say, hi, my name is, and all that, but they're nervous. But that's going to be a first time. You may think it sucks, but there's a lot of people out there looking at it, and one person at a time is viewing this.
Yep.
One person. It's a mindset, I think. So that's it.
You always have an audience of one. Even when I was in the news business, and I may have an audience that, heck, was hundreds of thousands or potentially even into the 7 digits. I'm always talking to one person. And when you talk to one person, not only do you sort of get out of your head with a little bit of practice about the mass quantities of people that, if you're doing it right, should be watching your video, but you are able to connect with that person who, you're sort of almost reaching through the lens and talking to them directly. Like, one of the things that I refuse to do when I'm on video is to ever address the camera as everybody. Like, it makes it very clear that I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to whoever is watching, which, oh, by the way, none of whoever's watching is probably in the room with you at all anyway. So the camera is always you. And I'm always talking to one person, because if I can connect with one person, I can connect with everybody who's watching. I mean, the idea of video really is generating inbound leads on autopilot. That's what it should be doing for you. It should be making money for you while you sleep, if you're doing it right. Social is just one tiny part of the ways that you can use video. We focus on it because it's the most prevalent, but there's a ton of other ways to use video. And in order to do all of that effectively, you've got to be talking to that one person, which is your ideal client. And so get clear on who that person is first and foremost.
And address their pain points.
Absolutely.
Right off the bat.
Give them a win. Yep.
Yeah. And you never come on and say, hi, my name is.
No.
Really. Because nobody cares. In the beginning, anyway, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
I see your name on your feed anyway. I don't need to know it. What the hell?
I've stumbled across your feed or your video in some way. And if I catch it midstream, if it's live or whatever, if I like what you say, I will click on the little icon that has your picture on it, and I will learn more about you that way. But video is not a meet and greet. It is not a 30-second elevator pitch. It's, if you want somebody to stick around, you got to jump into the value, like, right out of the gate.
And that applies to any of the social medias.
Absolutely.
Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of it. Do you have a social media of choice yourself that you use?
I use LinkedIn a lot. That's really where I started my business content. But now with the sort of morphing, right? I've been in business for 3 years and things have changed a little bit. My target audience has changed a little bit. The way that I work, sort of my model has changed. And so for the new model, Instagram and Facebook are where a lot of my potential clients reside as well. So it's
Right.
really those 3 platforms. I did also just start a vlog on YouTube. So, in my newsletter each week, I offer tips, tricks, hacks, strategies for content creation to try and make the process simple and streamlined.
Sure.
And so while YouTube used to just sort of be a storage tank for me for video content, now I'm deliberately bringing people there to try and help them with whatever issue they're having as it relates to video content or messaging, strategy use, distribution, that sort of thing.
What exactly? And we know video is your passion. What does Kerry Barrett Incorporated actually do? I mean, all the services you provide through your company.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. I teach business owners, coaches, consultants, right? Solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, B2B, B2C service providers, how to create DIY marketing videos, stand out, amazing video yourself on your phone, and then leverage it to the hilt, right? Using it to turn viewers into clients to make money for you overnight. So creating that amazing content and then fully leveraging it with strategy, distribution, and process. And I do that through digital courses and through group coaching. I also have one-on-one sessions that I provide for clients. I do full-scale video production. So there are occasions when DIY video is not the right choice. And really, there's just a few of them. For most of you watching, that choice is going to be when you want to have an above the fold video on your website that has some durability, meaning it doesn't have the shelf life of a tweet. It has a couple of years that people are going to be viewing it. In that case, hiring a crew and who has a well-honed aesthetic eye and can do a lot of spit and polish in the editing process is important because it's
And
the
you
first
provide
thing
that. You provide that.
we provide that as well. Yep.
Well, that is awesome. So somebody wants to onboard you and they say, Kerry, we like your style. What's that initial conversation like when you talk to somebody?
Well, you know what? I don't do a lot of sales calls, and the reason is
Oh, all right.
well, and here's the reason. Because my leads, the people who work with me I've already positioned myself in their eyes as somebody who knows what they're doing, and they like the way that I do it because they've seen all of my content. I've given them access to it everywhere. So most of my purchases come online, and people are ready to buy because I've positioned myself as the authority, and they've come to me because of the content that I've put out there. The one situation. So I don't do sales calls. I don't do a lot of any of that stuff. The one situation where that may be different is if somebody is looking for a full scale video production for their website, and then somebody may call me up. They'll ask me to see samples of work. I'll ask them, they'll fill out a questionnaire about what sort of content they're looking to create for their website, who the audience is, what the main message is. And then we'll go into that process with basically a very lengthy Q&A that gets the feel, the vibe, the flow, who they are as a person, who their business is. And then we'll put all of that together in a really compelling and effective video story for their website.
Kerry Barrett soundbite right there.
There you go.
There you go. You have a digital course that's in progress right now. Tell us about it.
Yes. So I have a course that came out about a year ago that was picked up by Forbes and Harvard and Stanford and endorsed by them about DIY video content. And now I'm releasing that course, except it's the 2.0 version. So we've taken the feedback that we've gotten from the first course. We've expanded in the areas that people wanted more help. We've taken out the areas that people did not find especially helpful, and we've added new content as well. So that course launches in the middle of May. It is a go at your own pace video digital course, along with obviously worksheets and slides and that sort of thing. And then you can also sign up to be part of my group coaching calls. So once a week, I host a group coaching session for my clients where they can ask questions. I can critique their video. They can get personalized support if they need help with a particular stumbling block, or they're having a certain challenge that they're struggling to figure out how to overcome. So that virtual Q&A offers support as they're going through the program itself.
More sound bites. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Give us an example, if you can, of a video success story. Somebody came to you and they really weren't that good. They were just nervous, which is really what most of it is nervousness, I think, with starting a video. And if you no need to mention names or anything, or if you want to, but how you transform somebody from being scared to death, which I think I read somewhere in your bio that you were an introvert somewhere.
I am.
When you first got on that. I want to get into your news background too.
Sure.
I saw some of that video. A success story, somebody you helped from like nothing to success.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. I am still an introvert. I just play an extrovert on TV, and I was terrified of public speaking. I mean, like that, not even with a camera, like where literally hundreds of thousands or millions of people could be watching. I mean, terrified of getting up and giving a group presentation in front of my high school or college class.
Right.
Back of the room, puddle of my own vomit, fetal position, sort of debilitating fear. And when I decided I would go into the news business, because that makes perfect sense, I realized that I was going to have to figure out how to not just be okay on camera, but also be like pretty darn good at it. And it was the process of moving through those stages, right? Every day I had to do something, and I hold my clients accountable, whether I'm doing one-on-one with them or whether they're taking a video course, a digital program, holding them accountable for small guided practice steps every single day.
Okay.
And then critiquing, listen, I understand critique for talent, somebody who's on camera, it can play a real number on your mindset and your confidence.
Sure.
And so understanding that delicate balance between cheerleader and also like, this wasn't good, we got to work on it. And so as a client success story, I have a client, and I won't use his name because he doesn't want me to. But he wanted to launch a web series. He works as a service provider. He owns his own firm, and he wanted to launch a web series, a video series, to bring in new clients in sort of this, almost like this side hustle that he was doing that has the potential for huge growth. But he didn't know how to be on camera. He didn't know what to talk about. He didn't know what the distribution process should be. Once I've created the video, then what do I do with it? Where do I put it? How do I promote it? And he's taken this side hustle in 3 months, which was not making any money at the outset, and has now created within these 3 months an additional 5 digits of revenue monthly based on the clients that he's able to bring in through this web series. So that's one success story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is great. I love it. We have some viewers, and if you have any comments and or questions for Kerry, put them in the chat, wherever format you're listening on here or watching on, and we'll get her to answer some. Absolutely. For sure. So the news thing that you did, okay, let me ask you this. What got you started wanting to do that? Did you look at the guys and the women and the guys on TV, and they say, I want to be like that. I want to be like Leslie Stahl, or I want to be like, I can't think of any names right now.
Tom Brokaw, or, Brian Gumbel, or Jane Pauley, or, Barbara Walters.
Yeah. There you go.
The Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, him.
He predates me, though, for the record.
Oh, no, he doesn't predate me.
No, it wasn't any of that, as a matter of fact. So I always appreciated that. And I grew up moving all over, not military, but my dad's job took us overseas. We lived all over the country. We also lived in the Middle East. We lived in Europe. We bounced all around. And so I have always been interested in different perspectives and different places and different lifestyles and the stories of people. But I never really took that and said, what can I do in terms of a career or a profession? I just I liked observing, and I liked asking questions, even if they were just to myself.
Sure.
I actually started out in college as a pre-veterinary medicine major because I was so painfully shy and so wildly introverted that working with animals, which I love, I thought would be an easy and an appropriate sort of career path for me. As it turns out, the only thing that I get along with worse than public speaking is organic chemistry, and so I had a pretty devastating breakup with organic chemistry my second year in, and I had no idea what it was that I wanted to do. So I actually took a year off, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do after that year and a half was over. And my school had started up a new broadcast journalism program or communications program. And it was very, very broad. It was, speech pathology, PR, marketing, journalism, and there was no organic chem. And I thought, I'm going to re-enroll in that. The skill set is broad enough that I should be able to find something that I can use to make a living after I graduate. And where I had this wherewithal, I don't know where it came from, quite frankly. I was going to have to take 2 public speaking courses. And I knew that I needed to, and that maybe it would help me get a handle on this insane and debilitating fear of public speaking that I had. So I enrolled in that. And I took the public speaking courses. And then one of the ways that I was trying to make up for all of that lost time was that I wanted an internship, right? Your full-time credits are 12. I was taking like 24, and I wanted to jam 3 more credit hours into my schedule to try and again make up for lost time. So I got an internship. And one of the places I could get an internship that worked with my crazy schedule was a news station, because they work 24/7, 365, morning, afternoon, and overnight. And so I interned at WYFF. It was the NBC station near me in Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I loved it from day one. So I had to figure out at that point how I was going to overcome that debilitating fear. And it was truly skills, certainly tactics, strategies, implementing those strategies. But where the real change came was having to do it every day. I couldn't go into my news director and say, I'm feeling a little, I'm not on my game today, or I had a bad night's sleep, or I'm just feeling shy or scared. That's not how that business works, right? I had to do it. And when I did it every day and I realized that I could handle whatever came my way, that was the life-changing sort of epiphany. It was, I can handle when this happens, or when this happens, or when this happens, or when that happens. And I can navigate my way through it. May not be super pretty, but I'm going to come out on the other end, and I'm still going to have my job. And that moment may have even endeared me to the audience, and it may even propel me to my next position. And I know this is a long sort of answer, but I'll wrap it up by saying this. It's why when I train clients, live video is hands down the best way to get as good as you can on video as quickly as possible, because you have to develop the skills to dig yourself out of whatever poop storm erupted while you were on live. And once you know that, it makes everything else easier. It changes your confidence level. It changes the way you show up in your business. It changes the way you show up in your world. And it makes all of the pre-recorded content that you're doing that much easier as well, because you don't overthink it, because you've handled everything already at least once before.
Oh, I can't tell you the times I've been on these live social media things, and camera quit. Mic stopped. It's like,
your PowerPoint, if you're using one, is out of order, or the clicker breaks or whatever. You got to handle it. And that's where that confidence comes. That's where
what transitioned you then from the news broadcasting, the newscaster. By the way, did you like doing news, reading news, presenting news?
I did. For a long time, I did. I always have loved a newsroom. It is an incredibly vibrant place to be. There are people from literally everywhere with all different perspectives, and they're fun, and they're oftentimes outrageous in a good way. And it is a place that is like just pumping with energy all day long and all night long for that matter as well. So yes, I enjoyed that aspect very much. There came a time though when the grind of the news business became debilitating.
I can imagine.
News has always struggled. TV news in particular has always struggled with context. You have a very finite period of time to try and jam in a lot of news. And, I used to struggle with why we are covering this versus this, or why we can't give any context to this story because the way that we're delivering it doesn't allow for that. I got to get through this story that's nuanced and in the newspaper would take up at least 2 columns. And now on TV, I have to tell it in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
That part got really frustrating. And waking up at 1:30 in the morning with 3 young kids and a husband who travels constantly, I was sort of a shell of myself.
You were the morning host?
I love morning TV. I absolutely love it. I love the format. I love the spontaneity. I love the interaction with the viewers.
That's what you were doing. You were in the morning. Okay.
I did news for night for a long time as well, in Philadelphia and in Texas and in Arizona. But in New York, while I filled in on the nights occasionally, my role was breaking news anchor on the morning show. And by the time my tenure was done, that grind was very apparent. I hated going into work, not the people. Again, I want to be very clear about that, but I absolutely dreaded it. And I never dread going into work now.
No,
it's stressful in a whole different way. I'm not naturally entrepreneurial. I didn't know anything about business when I first started and I was poking my way around. I would go to networking meetings and they would say like, how are you going to scale? And no kidding, I'd be like, what does scale mean? Oh my gosh. I didn't know anything, but
it's how much you weigh.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's a personal question. But I've muddled my way along, certainly, and I've been on a pretty steep learning curve, and I'm still there. Good. But I love it in a way I didn't realize was possible to love what you do.
Okay, I know what it was like for me, but the day after you left the news business, you woke up, and what was your first thought?
Well, if you want to know my very first thought, it was the day before Halloween. And that I left, and I woke up on Halloween morning and I thought, oh my God, this is the first time I can go trick-or-treating with my kids without having to worry about getting to bed too late. Truly, that was the first thing I thought of.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
And I knew at that moment that that my departure from the news business had been a long time coming. Now, I certainly had moments of panic. What am I going to do? I had no idea. Starting a business was like not even on my radar at that point. I assumed that I would go into PR. That's like a very logical. A lot of former newsies go into PR, and I was networking. Just contacting people that I knew. Who did this or who did that, and like, tell me what it's like. I mean, I knew what PR does, but what is the day in the life of a PR person actually look like? Are they in-house? What sort of businesses are they covering? Do they work at an agency? And I met with a woman who did PR and communications at Proskauer Rose, which is a big law firm, global law firm, but headquartered here in New York City. And she said, you're nuts. You couldn't stand by the end of your news tenure, being dictated to in terms of what you say and how you say it. And why would you go back to working for somebody else again when you have this skill set that you have accumulated or curated perhaps over the last 20 years, and you can, and people need it and they will pay you for it. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I went home and I told my husband, and the next day Kerry Barrett Inc. was registered, and I love it. And then it's been a poop show ever since.
Oh, what show?
No, I'm getting there. I'm figuring it out. Finally, it's taking a while.
No, Kerry, your content is awesome. Your content is awesome. I consume it. I get your newsletter even. I love reading.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So
appreciate
KerryBarrett.com. A couple of non-video related questions. Yes. Well, this could be a video question.
Okay.
What is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh my gosh, my favorite movie of all time. Oh, I should have a really quick answer for that. I probably should say something like The English Patient, but really it's probably closer to like Weekend at Bernie's.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with. I got to tell you, I'm a sucker for a Christmas movie. I'm a big fan of Christmas Vacation. It probably sounds so dumb, but I start watching them around like Halloween time.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
And occasionally during the summer.
My family. Well, the Hallmark Channel.
Gosh, yeah. Don't get me started.
They'll run it anytime. Another question. Now, this one might make you think a little. If you had a time machine, like a DeLorean or a TARDIS from Doctor Who, and you could go back in time and speak with somebody who's not alive anymore, who influenced you, who you would admire in some form or fashion, who is the one person you could pick? You could do this once.
Who is the one person that I would pick who has influenced me? Oh my gosh. I always tell people when they're getting ready to do a podcast, like, don't give your guests the questions ahead of time. I might redact that statement.
I should have prepped you on that one.
That's okay. No, the person who I would go back and want to talk to, I suppose, would be, I've always sort of been fascinated with like Victorian era history. So I might go back to, I don't know, either like Queen Victoria or Queen Elizabeth I. Okay. And I mean, they were sort of the first female leaders, if you will, in the Western world, and I would love to talk to them about the challenges and how they overcame them.
It could be a good sci-fi movie, see, because you go back there and you dress like them, and you talk to them, and when you leave, their memory's gone.
There you go. Yeah, I don't want to change the course of history.
No, you can't.
I don't think.
Too many movies about that. Kerry Barrett Incorporated, Queen of Video on LinkedIn, kerrybarrett.com. You're also on Twitter. I know you are because I follow you there.
I'm on Twitter. Occasionally, I do get into some political debates on Twitter. I'm trying not to do that, but it drives me insane.
Okay, Elon Musk. Elon Musk just bought. Oh, let's not.
I know. I gotta take a breath.
That could be a whole nother debate.
I guess it's a whole nother episode.
I'd love to have you on again at some point in the future, maybe after your course is running, and get some thoughts on that, and maybe some more success stories.
I would be delighted to be part of your show anytime that you ask me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you for your time. I always do this now. Live long. This is the Star Trek thing.
Oh yeah. Live long and prosper.
Oh, she's got it. Not everybody can do that.
No.
Live long and prosper. No. People do this and they do this.
Oh, I'm very talented.
My wife can do it with both hands, and I screw up.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, see, you got it down.
No,
you're good. You're good. Live long. All right. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much.